Welcome to the special E3 edition of the Left Click Culture Podcast. My name, as always, is Chris. Tonight I'm joined by Joe
Hey, how's it going?
and Nick.
Hello.
Once again, welcome back, guys.
Damn it, Bobby.
So, for once, there's actually been quite a bit of news to discuss in gaming this week. But before we get to that,
Who would have thought?
Talking
yeah,
about E3rd?
yeah, them trip E's. But before we get to that, we're gonna do our what we've been just talking about, what's been going on this week, what we've been working on, what we've been playing, that kind of stuff. So, Nick, what have you been up to since the last podcast?
So ever since we saw the Warcraft movie last week, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft.
Nice.
Played a month. With some Black Ops 3 and Hearthstone. That's pretty much it. Mostly WoW though. A lot of WoW.
Not a while. How's that going?
I'm having fun
Taking
with
that
it
trip
again.
down memory lane.
Yeah, I mean it's fun. So far. I mean, I give it probably about another week or two before it's boring again. 'Cause it's usually how it is. But
Very
no,
true.
I'm having fun.
Good. How about you, Joe? What have you been up to?
So Sunday, our lovely website crashed because I built it on a shared host, and the CSS I wrote was a little bit heavy,
Mm.
and I threw it all over because the way it was is we just I pulled in a theme, and because I was lazy, and then I wrote CSS over the theme CSS, so it crashed the site. So then I moved the platform over Sunday night to a .NET domain, which is on a VPN server, which is much better, and you can allocate different speeds to it. And speed testing the site, the site's running real fast compared to what we had. It's a different whole build. So, I mean, it looks really cool. A lot of the things that I wanted that I built custom in CSS. So, I don't have to do like any more of the bootstrapping or the CSS to get what I want into a theme. So that's cool. So it's gonna run a lot lighter and
Nice.
just having trouble with the DNS right now, but we're gonna figure that out. Then we're gonna have an awesome site again.
Nice. Very cool. All right.
So how about you, man? What'd you
I
do?
I've been watching a lot of E3 conferences this week,
Yeah.
and following the announcement at Ubisoft's conference that Trials of the Blood Dragon went live, I sold some skins and stickers in CS and went ahead and purchased that. So I've been checking out Trials of the Blood Dragon, and that's a pretty fun game. If you're a fan of Trials, it's a bit of a unique twist on a familiar theme. Sure, there are traditional Trials levels, but it's a little bit of like run and gun platforming, like caked in the Trials style, and you can also shoot from your bike on certain levels now. And it's set in like a crazy like neon 80s theme in the Blood Dragon universe, I guess would be the best way to put it. There's even like animated cutscenes in between missions. It's been a lot of fun so far. Other than that, been playing old reliable Overwatch. Still having fun with that. Haven't played it as much recently just because I feel like I've been oddly busy, even with like stuff outside of streaming and all that. Just had a lot going on these past couple days. Um, I think I think that's the only new thing that I've been playing is Trials. Looking forward to playing some of the stuff that's been announced, but we'll get to that later. All right, and with that, we're gonna go ahead and touch on the Overwatch patch since we all play it, and I've played since the patch. Have either of you guys had a chance to play it since the patch?
No.
No, I haven't played, but I know what got patched and whatnot. So I kind of
Okay.
know what's been going on.
So yeah, the two big things in this patch, for those of you who aren't aware, is that McCree got nerfed just a little bit, finally, for all those people that were waiting for that. And so his nerf lowered the bullet damage from his Fan the Hammer from 70 to 45, which doesn't really mean much to most people, but I can tell you from playing, he definitely feels less powerful. Like going up against him as a tank, he's not gonna like one burst you now. If you're still somebody like Soldier or Reaper or Tracer, yeah, he's gonna kill you still. But for everybody else, it feels about where it should be. And they also nerfed Widowmaker, which I was kind of surprised. Well, I'll call it a nerf because you can no longer really quickscope with her. I don't know if you guys saw that. You have to wait
Yeah,
for the unscoping unscoping animation to completely finish before you can rescope in. But they did also buff her headshot damage, so I think it's putting more of an increased emphasis on hitting headshots rather than body shots. Just trying to add a little bit or force a little bit more skilled play into the people who play Widowmaker. What do you guys think about these changes?
I like the Widowmaker one. I like the damage change simply because it's kind of ridiculous how she was able to one shot someone like Zenyatta, even in the body. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was stupid. McCree, I hated him always just because
Yeah.
playing as a tank, I was able to essentially get one shotted by his right click after I got stunned.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very open to their changes.
Yeah, that is
Like,
one other thing with Widowmakers. The base damage from her shots did go down.
I mean,
So
the base damages. The thing that people are getting
slightly,
all upset
slightly.
about is that they think headshots change because they changed the multiplier, which is not true. They increased the multiplier for headshots and lowered the base damage.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, headshots do the same, body shots are different.
Yeah, there's a bigger incentive to hit those headshots,
Exactly.
which makes
Wait,
sense. Because
aim
she's
and
sniping.
precision was rewarding?
Yeah, who would have thought?
No. No.
Not in this hero shooter era
No.
that we're in. Can't have that.
Yeah, man. Everything should hit every target.
Yeah.
Always.
So this is the first wave of patches we're seeing for Overwatch, and one of the things I didn't look into actually is, did these nerfs go into or go live across all platforms, or were these PC specific?
I want to say these were PC specific for now, but I can't. I don't know for certain.
Okay. Yeah, because I know they said that it'd be balancing them independently, but
Yeah, I don't know for sure.
oh, on the I just read the forum post. It says it's live on Windows PC, but please note many of these changes will be rolled into a larger patch for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Okay, so they're coming for consoles. They just haven't arrived yet. Turns out it helps if you read, kids. And the other thing they did to Widowmaker was up the cost of her ultimate so she gets it a little less often, which I'm perfectly okay with that.
I'm
She,
fine with that. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't see an issue with it before personally, but
Mhm.
I'm fine
It
with
did
that.
feel a little fast in comparison to some other alts. Like, if you were a good Widowmaker, there wasn't a whole lot of downtime for your alt, so you could pretty much see through walls for most of the map. What do you think of these nerfs for both Widowmaker and McCree Joe?
I don't know. I think from the sounds of it, they make sense. You know? It's just kind of like a tuning, really, because the complaint about McCree before that, like, I hated him, Nick hated him, just constantly stunning and destroying. And I can understand, if you're a lighter weight character that's meant to, like Tracer or Genji, like the ones they target specifically, the ones that he should be stopping with his stun and killing,
Yeah,
the flies. And,
the flies. It's a good way to put it.
yeah, so the lightweights, and I think that's what he's built for. That's kind of his trick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's it's a good change. I mean, if I haven't played it, but if they lowered the secondary fire that much, then it made it effective. Then I'm assuming you know it's pretty good. And then the Widowmaker one, that sounds good too.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't played them, but I think that makes sense to, and it might even have just kind of been their kind of thought process going into it, maybe, where they had these characters a little more open, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Like they were like, okay, well, we're gonna start this as like one of those really hero-y shooters, and then we're gonna kind of adapt the characters the way that we want the game to be played, you
Makes
know?
sense. Yeah.
So they kind of like, so now they're like, okay, well, we see how these classes interact. Based on that, we're going to tune these other classes so that they're hyper effective in these areas and they're going to be balanced in the other areas. I guess, that's kind of
Yeah.
it's the Warcraft model strapped onto another, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of feels like. And I think that's really good because that's their late Warcraft model is like how players want to play the game, built into the game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like players build the game is the way,
Yeah.
kind of worked. So I think that's cool.
one of the little side effects I'm curious to see that happens as a result of these two patches if we just see less people playing McCree and Widowmaker because they're not as easy to kill people with now.
Yeah.
I think you'll definitely
I'd be
see less
perfectly okay with that,
McCrees. I
to
don't
be
think you'll
honest.
see less Widowmakers.
Still see
Yeah.
some stubborn Widowmakers out there.
I wouldn't
Everybody
say
snipes, man.
stubborn.
Yeah, everybody tries to snipe.
Yeah. Everybody snipes, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say generally speaking, I haven't seen a whole lot of outrage against the patch or anything. People seem to be pretty okay with it. I played a couple matches the other day and things felt fine. You know, there was a McCree that tried to roll into a Roadhog, stun him and kill him, and he's just like, "Oh shit, I can't do this anymore." So the Roadhog just kind of like laughed in his face and then shot him off the edge, and that was that. But it's pretty fun.
Did one since we're on the topic of Overwatch, I just wanted to bring something up I saw on Twitter. That for the first time in 4 years, Overwatch has overtaken League of Legends at the like PC cafe type things
Oh really?
as like top played game. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I saw that they hit 10 million players. I hadn't heard about that though.
Yeah, no, that happened.
That's another
Recently.
thing too. Hit
It was
10 million
last week.
players. That puts it past WoW now, right? As well for our subs at least.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's pretty big. That's a lot of people playing your game. 10 million people. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, no, it's insane when you think about it in terms
Yeah.
of actual size.
It would explain too. Like I haven't seen a whole lot of repeat players on PC, which has been pretty nice. It
I've
also
been
helps
avoiding
that
a
they
lot
have
of people
those.
too.
Yeah, they have that avoid, and then recommend or whatever they're calling it, prefer this player system, which is nice. I got a solid friend invite the day that I was playing those couple matches after the patch because I played such a good Mercy. The guy was just like, "Yep, adding you to my friends list."
That's always good.
I joined the game and we had no tank or no support. Everybody else had already locked in their heroes and weren't willing to change. So I was just like, "Well, would you guys rather have a tank or a healer?" And it was on defense on Gibraltar. And they're just like, "We'll take the support." So I mercied it up.
Gibraltar.
We came pretty close to losing a couple times, so we ended up pulling out the win. We had a
Checkpoint.
tracer that refused to
Gibraltar.
switch, and she was pretty bad. Like everybody on our team was telling her, like, "You should probably switch. You're not doing us any good at all." Like, wasn't hitting her all, wasn't really like keeping them behind enemy lines or anything. But nope, she stuck through it. Thankfully, though, it worked out in the end.
Usually how it is though with people like
Yeah.
that.
I had a solid Reaper counter as Mercy. He killed like 3 people on our team, and I was just like, "Nope, they're back now. You're dead." Feels pretty good when you pull something like that off.
Die.
Yeah, I don't play Mercy, so I can't speak from experience.
Yeah. Overwatch, still fun. If
Who's
you've been
Mercy?
thinking
again?
about checking it out. She's the
Healer.
beam healer, the one with the direct that also has the damage boost.
Healer.
Yeah.
What is a healer?
Okay.
What? There's a healer class in Overwatch.
Oh, there's a support class,
You would have to play the game to know.
and
Oh my
she's the
God.
healer, or like the main healer in that support class.
Yeah, I don't play healers, man.
No.
I don't play healers.
But yeah. So if you've been thinking about checking out Overwatch and you haven't already, I think we can all pretty safely recommend it.
Oh,
Sorry
yeah,
if
for
it's on
sure.
console and you got to pay $60, but I'd say it's worth $60 if you're into multiplayer shooters. And actually, before we get off Overwatch, I saw something pop up in my feed that was confused me a little bit. There seems to be a debate going on about what sort of role the weekly brawls play or should play within Overwatch. Some people seem to think that it should be as there's like a learning mechanic, and then other people seem that or have the opinion that it should just be used for fun. And it was specifically I saw Jesse Cox tweeting about how he hated the randomness of this past brawl, which just gave you a random hero every time, because he said it defeated the purpose of team comp and was really just like teaching players the wrong idea. And then other people just like, "Oh yeah, no, nobody takes that seriously. It's just for fun. Like whatever, don't let it get to you." Like this week, it's all Soldier 76s on both teams, and that's the weekly brawl. So
I'm
what?
perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, what sort of role do you guys see the weekly brawl having?
I'd look at it more of like the same way they do it in Hearthstone. Like it's fun,
Yeah.
something different. It's not supposed to be taken seriously in no shape or
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like your weekly dungeon.
Just do it once and get it out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give you extra shit,
form. Don't
do
get
they, for
rewards
anything?
for it though, which
Yeah,
is
I
something
mean,
that I
eventually they might add that.
saw it on
But
the subreddit that someone suggested giving a loot box similar to how in Hearthstone they give you a card pack, which I think that would be a good idea.
hmm
I don't know. Maybe one, like one for the
What's
week.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh,
That's how it's
Yeah,
in Hearthstone, where you win your first game and you get one for the week.
okay. That would also help
That'd be
alleviate some
good.
of the complaints that other people are having about how slow they feel the loot box progression is. I don't really see an issue with that,
I
but
don't
the
see
what
it being
progression?
slow because
yeah, some people think it takes too long to get a loot
simply
box, or they don't get them
because
often
Oh,
enough.
simply because the level experience is the same right after you get past level 20.
Yeah,
yeah, stop being poor and
Whereas
just go buy some loot boxes. That's my answer, you know?
there's that, but not everybody's in the situation where they can drop money on loot boxes.
Get a job.
But yeah, going back to the weekly brawl thing, I think it's also just like a stupid fun game mode, just like go mess around for a little bit. I understand where Jesse's coming from, where game modes like the all random are kind of they don't really support the message the game is pushing about how you need to know your counters, you need to be able to switch to counter the other team, and it's all about teamwork and finding a group that works well together. But that's what quick plays for, and that's what competitive mode's coming for whenever that comes out. Weekly brawls just get in there, mess around, gives you the opportunity to try somebody new, maybe that you'd never tried before, all that kind of stuff. So I don't really see a huge issue with it. I think that's the last thing I had to talk about Overwatch.
I don't got anything. I don't got anything else. So
Yeah. All right. So, bigger news this week. Probably the biggest news this week is that E3 is going on. Yes, it's still
Big
going on.
news.
actually, it's over. I think today was the last day.
Oh, there we go.
Two,
Today might have been
three
the last
days.
day.
I think it's Tuesday.
Well,
Usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
we had day -1, day 0, and then days 1, 2, and 3 this year.
Pretty much.
Day -1.
Yeah. And with those negative days and 0 days brought us conferences. And the big thing this year with conferences was not watching them by yourself, but attending a stream of the conference where other people were sharing their opinions or doing it yourself. And I think it's largely a more enjoyable way to watch the conferences, at least for me, because it feels like you're watching it with friends. And in some cases, people were. There were a couple instances where it got in the way of like announcements, where if there's something I really wanted to pay attention to, I'd have to mute the hosted stream and go switch over to the actual stream if I really wanted to pay attention to something. But all in all, it was a lot of fun. I don't know if you guys tuned in any of those at all.
Yeah, I watched most of them, minus I think Microsoft's might have been the only one I didn't watch.
Okay.
But no, I watched them by myself and stuff. And
Okay.
you were on here for I think the Bethesda one or whatever, but
Yeah, I hopped in that first
normally
day.
I don't like watching them with other people just because normally I don't like people talking over it. I like to listen to everything. So
Yeah, that was annoying for a little bit. I ended up watching most of the Sony one, I think, with the secondary stream muted, just so I could pay attention because they had a lot of stuff that was interesting and I wanted to pay attention to.
I know Sony's was insane. Theirs was
Yeah.
non-stop. Theirs was trailer. That's to me, and I don't know if we're getting to specific conferences yet, but
We
to
can.
me, Sony compared to all the other conferences, they were definitely two different tones.
Yeah.
Sony's and Microsoft's. Um, to me, I feel like Sony treated us like actual mature adults, unlike pretty much every other conference where it's here's awkward banter between two people that don't give a shit about being there, or trying to make funny jokes when they're
Yeah.
nowhere near funny.
Some of those awkward compilation videos have been fantastic. So
I just
great.
don't get why year after year the companies continue to do the same thing and they think it's working when nobody wants to see it.
It
Whereas
must
Sony,
be appealing to somebody, right? If they keep doing it.
Sony came out and did. They must have had 2 to 5 minutes talking between the entire conference.
Yeah, the game
And
literally walked out, or the guy literally walked out. He's just like, "Hey, welcome to Sony conference," and then boom, like here's a bunch of gameplay trailers or
he came exactly. It was
cinematic
trailer,
videos.
trailer, 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 trailer. They come out and talk for 30 seconds, then trailer, 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 and then talk at the end for like 30 seconds, and then it was over.
Yeah, it's good. I
Yeah,
think
no, I can't complain. That's how I think they need to do it every year.
yeah, the general consensus from what I've seen too is that Sony had the best conference, and I agree.
I think by far they did.
Yeah,
But
no
I mean, you
real
could
contender.
obviously tell that, like I said, between Microsoft and Sony, it was two different conferences they were trying to
Mhm.
have. I didn't watch the Microsoft one. I read up on
Yeah.
everything they did, but I think theirs wasn't bad. But
Yeah,
they
no,
still
it was a
had,
solid conference. Like everybody, it was just like, yeah, that was good. Nothing special, but it was good.
I think the EA one was terrible yet again.
Mhm.
Ubisoft one, Aisha Taylor is not funny at all. Like she should stick to doing Whose Line because then she's actually funny.
The
But
internet's pretty split
she's
on
just
her.
not. No, she's not funny in like the gaming sense. I'm sorry, but if if you think she is, you're just wrong. You're wrong. It really.
We don't
Yeah.
accept any
She she tries
opposing opinions here in Left
she
Click
tries
Culture.
so hard to like make it seem like she doesn't get paid to be there. When it's like, come on, be honest, you're still getting paid to be there. And she
Not to
tries to be like
mention,
this cool gamer chick, and yeah, I play games. Yeah, you should relate to me, and I'm funny, and no, you're not.
yeah, not to mention the Ubisoft conference in general is just way too long for how little they showed. Like it was way too drawn out.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's. It seems like some of them are. Sony flew by to me.
Oh yeah, they just kept shoving games down your throat whether you were ready for it or not.
And yeah, I mean, like I was saying before, that's how you have to do a conference. It made it much more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, definitely made it entertaining. Yeah, EA's was here's a bunch of paid celebrities and here's sports. Like
I think
it is every year.
it's yeah, it's the same thing every year with EA. You know, they have their 40 minutes of other games and then their 20 minutes of sports, which I get
Yeah,
because people do play the sports, but uh,
yeah.
I don't know. It feels like they could do their own separate thing on the sports and the people would watch that.
Mhm. I was listening to the Co-optional podcast earlier today, and they were talking about the EA conference, and they're just like, yeah, it was sports, sports, sports. Here's our one indie representative, just like that shy guy who loves his game, to show that
I don't know,
somewhere in
they need
EA
to
still
find
has a
them
heart.
like I feel like they like put out like an ad on like Craigslist or something. Shy people who want to show off their game at E3. Because
Oh,
last year they had Unravel, and this year they
yeah,
had that whatever. I forgot what game it was, but
yeah, I don't remember either, but it's they're making a push for indies. They're gonna make it. I forget what the program is called, but they're developing a program where if you publish your game on Origin, they won't take any of the development, or they won't take a cut of the profit somewhere. I think,
it's good.
yeah. So either people are speculating it's just like, what do they get out of it? Either it's like people are just like, oh, maybe they do have a heart, or somewhere down the line because it is on Origin, Origin takes a cut of all sales, so maybe that's where they're gonna make their money.
I don't believe EA truly wants to help people in any way, shape, or form.
Not even the soccer fans or the football fans.
They are just trying to gouge money out of people.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a business, but
all for businesses. Yeah, but yeah. So EA, we're really missing anything. Battlefield 1 still looks cool. Still looks beautiful. Looking forward to playing
oh
that one.
yeah, I'm pretty pumped for that. It looks gorgeous. You know, the World War One's a different setting than what we're used to nowadays. So
Yeah, I'm all for a return to the great war shooters, World War shooters. I miss playing like COD 2 on LAN.
oh, I agree.
Shit was fun.
Speaking of COD, I don't know if you watched the Call of Duty trailer. I know it's Call of Duty and
The one
stuff.
at the
I
PlayStation
think it looked,
conference.
yeah, I think it looked good.
The
Personally,
funniest thing for me, because at that point I was watching one of the other like hosted streams, was everybody was just like, "What is this game? Like, is
nobody
it this? Is
that's
it
what I saw
that?"
on Twitter too.
And until
Nobody
they
knew it
knew
was
it was
Call
Call
of
of
Duty
Duty,
right
yeah. While
now.
they didn't know
Everybody
it was Call
thought
of
it looked
Duty,
good.
they were good. They were just like, "This looks cool. This looks fun." And then eventually I was just like, "No, this is definitely like Call of Duty. This airship stuff like looks
Thing
familiar."
though is the one thing I will say is they came out and said it is that the part with the flying in space that was not on rails whatsoever. That was all free roam and free go, and you know you don't have to follow a specific path. Which is great.
Now, that's also VR compatible, right?
That
Did
I
I
don't
hear
know.
that? I think I heard that. Don't confirm. Can't confirm, but I'm pretty sure I heard something about that being VR compatible. And if it's true that they have space combat and it's free, then awesome. You've got a leg up
Fuck
on
yeah,
even
space
Battlefront.
combat.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of it personally, but I know people love it. So cool. Power to you.
Fuck yeah, space wombats.
There was a lot of VR stuff announced, and I'm
Oh god.
kind of
this
excited for it. I guess I don't know. I kind of want to get the
VR.
PSVR
Yeah.
Fuck VR, man.
$400
Fuck it.
coming in October.
October.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, price
think
is
that's a
about
fair
where everybody
price.
said.
Because
Yeah.
HTC Vive is 8, and I don't even know what the Oculus is now, and I don't even want to
6.
look because they're in a heap of trouble at the moment with
Yeah. It's 600
Facebook.
right now.
What do they do?
They got caught in essentially buying developers and forcing them to use the Oculus in a sense, and they're spying on people and
Oh,
things
nice.
Facebook does.
I haven't heard anything about this.
It's
Little news to me.
let me see if I can find it here.
Facebook.
But yeah, essentially something came out because it was I want to say the Serious Sam devs said something about it that they didn't they were approached.
They were
Said
approached
no.
or poached?
They were approached,
Okay.
and they were one of the few people that said no.
Alright, so while Nick pulls that up, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the
They
the
have an
Bethesda
always on
conference.
service policy.
It was the Bethesda conference that followed the EA one, and it sucks that they're making Quake a hero shooter. I get it's the trend this year, but that's not what Quake is.
Is that what it is? It's a hero shooter? I thought it was just like more classes or something.
Well, I'm using the term hero shooter specifically, but Quake's never had classes. It's always been about like outshooting your opponent with the same guns and map knowledge and all that kind of stuff. And they said in the trailer that each character is going to have different and unique abilities. So it's essentially a hero shooter put in the Quake world. So I'm curious to see how weapon pickups are going to work now that it's a hero shooter and all that fun stuff.
So I just linked I think it was the Serious Sam dev. Oh, he says they tried to buy Serious Sam VR as well, like for exclusivity rights and for a shit ton of money. Even though Oculus said they weren't going to do that because of exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And at the same time, you have OSVR coming out and just being like, oh hey, we're a thing too. I think that's also 600, which is the one that's backed by Razer.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna I mean, I have a PlayStation. I'm probably gonna, when I get to that point, go with the PSVR. I mean, I heard it's pretty nice, and I'm gonna get to try it out when I go to COD Champs because I guess they're gonna have some stuff there. So
Nice.
get to see how it is. But yeah, no, it should be interesting to see what they come up with for
Yeah.
all of this going forward.
That's one of the things at PAX that I didn't get to check out that I kind of wish I did was the PSVR, even though it filled up almost immediately when signups went up.
Yeah, it was literally impossible to get an appointment to do it.
Yeah, unfortunate, but c'est la vie. So, other things at the Bethesda conference that I liked, Dishonored 2, really looking forward to that, especially after seeing more of the game. I really liked the first game. I'm a huge sucker for like stealth action games. Second one looks good, looks better than the first, maybe. And just about does it for me. The Fallout DLC is just kind of Fallout's kind of lost me at this point. It's disappointing when it came out, and I don't know if Nuka World and Fallout Shelter in game are gonna be enough to bring me back.
I haven't played any of Fallout at all. So,
Smart choice.
I mean, Fallout 4 at least.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've honestly heard mixed reviews. I've heard a lot of people saying that they were disappointed.
Yeah. I was disappointed in Fallout 4. I was one of those people. Take one of my favorite franchises and just make it Skyrim but with guns. Not what I was looking for. Especially after such a long wait. But hopefully they'll either take the feedback to heart for Fallout 5 or just give it back to Obsidian and just be like, sorry, we fucked it up. You guys fix it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of games that seem to be like that now.
Mm. Doom in VR could be cool. Probably make me shit myself.
Yeah, be
Not gonna
interesting.
lie. I like jump when I turn around and see a pinky demon just playing on my PC. So if I were to like be wearing a VR headset and there was one like charging at me, I'd definitely jump for sure. It's cool that they're doing it. Curious to see how they do it. Curious to see what people think about it. But I don't really have any special feedback on that, for lack of a better term.
I haven't played Doom yet. I know they put out a demo.
Yeah,
First level demo that I'm probably gonna try.
I'd recommend it. It'll probably end up being discounted to some extent during the summer sale. What else did they talk about at Bethesda? There was Quake. Oh, Doom DLC. Meh. Big news in Doom that I didn't know about until just recently is that it is taking control over their multiplayer again. So they're just like, whoops, sorry, you guys didn't like that. We're going to do our best to fix it, maybe. Which I think is cool, because I might have to check it out if that's the case.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to see what they do with it, just because I've heard things about it and good things.
They're adding a weapon wheel to the snap map thing, so that's got my hopes up to see one in multiplayer, and it'll be even more like classic Doom deathmatch, so that you can carry more than 2 fucking guns on you at a time.
You can only carry 2 right now.
Yeah, in snap map and in multiplayer, there's unless you get like a weapon pickup on the map, and there's only like super weapons that you can pick up.
That's
So
kind of
yeah, you have to go in with a loadout of 2 guns, and that's all you have. You can change your loadout, but you can only carry 2 at a time.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it sucks. There's
Yeah, it does.
no free for all right now either in Doom multiplayer. That's coming with one of the free DLCs. There's only team deathmatch and something else. I think it's like an oddball type game mode. That's the other one. But yeah, we're getting like King of the Hill and free for all finally later down the road. Will it be
I think
too little,
that'll
too
work
late?
well.
We don't know. We'll see.
It'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
Oh, the other big thing at the Bethesda conference was Prey that nobody was really expecting.
Nobody was expecting, and nobody seemed to honestly like it. Like,
I'm a huge
I don't
fan.
know. A lot of the things I read, that most people liked the early footage that got leaked, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know
Like
why
that
they went
bar.
with the Prey name instead of making it a new IP, because it doesn't seem to have any connection to the old Prey and the second Prey that was in development.
I
But
think it was that second Prey.
what I
I think
saw,
that's what it is, and it's
yeah,
just
the one
pretty.
that was all cyberpunk.
I don't know. I think so.
But yeah, this one I was getting like Dead Space vibes. I was getting like some mysterious vibes. I'm all for it. I'm curious to see more of it. I'm curious to see where they go with it. I'm pretty excited to keep an eye on the development of that one. It piqued my interest for sure.
I mean, it looks decent. I don't know. I'm not really excited for it in a sense.
Fair enough. And then let's see what else. I think that does it for Bethesda. Covered Dishonored, covered Doom. Oh, Fallout Shelter's coming to PC. Whoop de doo.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play it. I played it for like a couple weeks on mobile. I'm not gonna play it at all on my PC. So that brings us to the next day, which started with Microsoft's conference. What were the highlights of Microsoft's or what did you read about that you liked from Microsoft's conference, Nick?
Sea of Thieves looked cool.
I do. I agree. I think that's one that we could have fun with. I hate the way they presented it, but
I liked,
sounds like I'm not alone
that's
there.
more of the whole cringy YouTuber comment of trying to be funny thing, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
I liked how, so going forward, I guess Xbox exclusives will now be available on Windows 10 as well as Xbox with cross-platform play, I think it is.
It seems to me like it's certain
cross.
ones. I don't want to say all of them for sure.
From the way they worded it, it seems like most, like a majority, are going to be within the next, once they're coming out end of this year, early next year. It doesn't require any sort of Xbox Live subscription. You don't have to have gold or anything. You can just play it right on your PC.
Right.
And they look at it like you're still buying their games. Essentially, they know you have Windows 10 because they're shoving it in your face
Yeah,
24/7 if you don't have it yet. Um,
that's
no,
a
I like
pretty.
that.
That's a big if too.
The consoles, I'm like, I get a 4K console. It's cool. I don't know. I don't know
That,
enough people that
that's
have 4K monitors or TVs
yeah.
at the moment
That's an
to
important
justify.
distinction to make right there, though. Is the first console, the S, upscales video to 4K.
Yeah.
The Project Scorpio, which
It's
stupid name if you're calling your other console the S, will be capable of 4K gaming supposedly, like native
yeah.
4K
They
gaming.
said they said straight up that if you have a 1080p TV or monitor and you buy the Scorpio, you're wasting your time because it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, no.
So,
Games might run a little faster because I think we're throwing around that 60 hertz meaningless number because games have been able to run at 60 frames per second since the Super NES and the NES. So that's up to the developers. It's not up to Microsoft. The interesting thing will be if it can support both 4K and 60 FPS. That'll be the interesting part. If it'll only be like 4K 30,
I would think it's probably going to be 30. I mean,
in most realistic cases, I'd probably agree.
but who knows?
Mm. Who knows, indeed.
Other than that, I mean, I didn't really get too excited over anything at the Microsoft conference. I didn't watch it, so I didn't really
Mm.
see too
Yeah,
much. I mean, the MODI controller thing or the custom controller thing's cool, but
yeah.
they already
I'll
have
probably get
Scuff.
one.
Scuff can already do that for you. I don't know.
They're
I
just
want to say
official
there was a
controllers and
rumor.
they're cheaper. That's
I
all.
want to say there was a root like I have to look it up that Microsoft bought or partnered with Scuff or something. Um,
But yeah, I like it. I like that it's an official controller.
Yep, so that's what it was. Last October, I knew I saw something about Scuff actually licensed its technology to Microsoft. So my
Mm.
guess is this is where that came from, is that they're able to do that. And
Yeah. The thing is, though, it's only like color combinations. You can't add like extra bumpers or paddles or anything. It's just
no,
colors and an engraving.
but they have never really done anything like that before.
Mm.
Um, and I mean, I like the controller, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have a PS4 controller I can use on PC right now, so. I don't know. Maybe if they added like the Elite controller or something.
You know, did you see the Gears Elite controller?
I did not actually.
It's not bad. If you're a fan of Gears, it's cool. It's like all bloody and red and black themed.
That's pretty
It's got
cool.
the Gears logo on it. It looks cool. Probably not gonna pick one up, but it looks cool. The highlights for the Microsoft conference for me were Sea of Thieves. I want to see more of that game, other than a fake Let's Play. I want to see more of the land, like features of the game. They focused a lot of the gameplay demo of the sea combat. And let's see, what else did Microsoft have? I think Sea of Thieves is like the big thing, unless you're, yeah, because we covered the like cross-platform stuff. Not excited for Halo Wars. Didn't play the first one. Not gonna play
I
the second one.
I might play the second one. I don't know. I think it's Halo, so it's probably gonna be pretty good. And if the cinematics are as good as they look,
Mm-hmm.
I might pick it up on PC since it's gonna be on PC.
Ooh, hit my mic.
Oh, I might pick that up. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the like big complaints I saw about the Microsoft conference was that during the Gears showing, they're focusing a whole lot on single player and haven't showed Jack from the multiplayer yet.
Well,
And that I think that's what
well
most people
because
are
they have
excited to see at this
I
point.
think they had the beta not that long. They had the Gears 4 beta not that long ago. So people actually got to play it.
Yeah, it'd still be nice to see some more of it instead of more of the single player because it's only so much of the campaign you can show off before it
I don't
gets
know.
like ruined.
I think to me, Gears is Gears. They're not gonna deviate from the formula much.
If they're smart.
But no, I think I'm gonna get Gears 4 probably on that's gonna be on PC. That's one of the ones I've confirmed for PC. So
Yeah, I played the Gears Ultimate Edition, or what did they call that? The remaster of the first Gears. I played it on PC and it looked good. It had some issues running at start, but I think that was mainly because of my CPU. Um, they announced Recore, which okay, it's like an okay game. Killer Instinct's getting new DLC. Forza looked
I've never
pretty.
played that. I don't think.
Yeah.
It
Forza,
always looks good. I don't know. I haven't played a racing game in forever, and they just don't do it for me anymore.
I know one of the things that my brother was really excited about was the announcement of Dead Rising 4, and I have a ton of fun with those games too. So that's one that I can say I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I probably won't pick that up if it's until it's like the I don't know $5 or $10 or something. Or
Ooh, going super cheap.
I don't know. That it's fun for a bit, and then it gets super boring, super quick to me.
Okay, fair enough. Is it just like the repetitiveness of the game?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I get there's different things you can do every once in a while, but I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, it just was always very repetitive.
Other than that, I'm still keeping an eye on We Happy Few. It was nice to see some
That
gameplay from that
I
game.
watched that, and okay, I forgot that was the Microsoft conference. That looks phenomenal, and I really want to play
Yeah.
that.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much because people are just saying, "Oh, it looks incredible. It looks fantastic. It's giving me like BioShock feelings," and I'm just like, "Yeah, I got some BioShock feels from that gameplay trailer, but I really don't want to like overhype this game for myself. So I think I'm gonna like let it fall off my radar for a bit. That's one of the ones that I wanted to play at PAX, and the line was just always capped. I
I
never
know
had a chance
it's
to play it. So people are excited for it, and that's
should
good.
be good. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Price point will be a thing for me when deciding whether to pick it up right away or not. But
hmm I'll probably pick it up because it's one of the ones that I'm like really interested in. Other than that, the Microsoft conference brought us a cringy Final Fantasy demo. That cringy, also
I didn't
cringy,
watch
the
it.
Scalebound demo. They were just people not playing the games well at all. So as like people who play games regularly, you're just like, oh, how are you getting hit during your own boss fight? Why aren't you holding your own dodge button? You know, just like stupid stuff like that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean that just comes with the E3 space is cringe, all cringe,
yeah,
all the time.
it, big showy like look at us conference. It's gonna happen.
But not Sony because they're smart and know what we want.
Yeah, but before we get to Sony, we got one more thing standing in our way, and that is the Ubisoft conference.
Just pretend like that never happened.
There's one good thing that came out of the Ubisoft conference.
Definitely wasn't Aisha Tyler.
No, it was South Park. You
Oh
got
my
to see
God.
more of the fractured but
The
whole.
South Park trailer was the best trailer of any game that got showed at E3. I don't care what anyone says, that was hilarious.
That
The game,
whole thing was just great. It was a
the
saving
game is
grace of
gonna
that
be
2 hour trailer
so
or
much
2 hour
fun.
conference.
It's gonna be so much fun. The first game was fun. Um,
Yeah, I had a blast with Stick of Truth.
and it's their stuff's always good. Anything they do South Park related is good.
I love how they faked everybody out with that crime video at the start too. Everybody's just like, "Oh, what's this generic violent bullshit gonna be?" And then they're just like, "Nope, it's the fractured butthole. We got you." It was just the entire thing was great. I'm looking forward to it. Superheroes, awesome. Changing the combat, awesome. Just so good.
The combat change will be interesting, but we'll see how it plays out.
I like that it's more of an active combat system and less about just smashing A repeatedly to kill things. Anytime the combat gets more involved, I'm all for it. Because the combat did get kind of boring in the first one. There wasn't really ever need to put status effects on your opponents or anything like that, unless you were super bored and did it for the hell of it. It got to the point where like my bleed damage and just the sheer amount of damage I did was killing things. But I'm that guy that goes around and does all the side quests. So I was kind of like ahead of the content level wise. But that's just the way I play games.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean though.
Other than that, yeah, the Ubisoft is boring. Getting another Just Dance. It's getting its annual
Who
release.
cares? Like,
Ghost Recon is becoming less Ghost Recon and more Far Cry.
I think that game looked like shit, like visually, but hashtag unpopular opinion.
Ghost
Didn't think it
Recon?
looked good. I don't know if it was just the stream or what, but
Yeah.
I thought it looked terrible.
It looked like standard for a console game this generation. It was okay.
I
Then
just don't have high hopes for it just because I don't want it to fall into like the Division effect. So.
Yeah, speaking of the Division, they announced more of their DLC.
Nobody plays that game anymore.
No, it lost 93% of its player base. That's nuts. I know we touched on the Division a couple times now, but fucking that game, so disappointing. And then if you're into buying multiple VR headsets and or also have friends who are rich and have VR headsets and VR capable machines, then you got to take a look at Eagle Flight, which is eagles fighting over a rabbit meets oddball, I guess. And that was kind of interesting. And Star Trek Bridge Crew, which I know a lot of people are excited about. I'm not a huge Star Trek person, so I was just like, it could look better. It could look worse, I guess. I guess they're basing it off J.J. Abrams' Enterprise, which some people are hit and miss about. I don't really have much to say about that. For Honor, it's getting a campaign, which is interesting.
I'm, still hesitant because
Yeah.
it's probably gonna get downgraded visually. So
I just want to play it. I want to see how it plays. I've seen it, but I actually want to play it for myself and see how it feels
honestly,
and all that kind of
it
stuff.
probably feels just like a Dynasty Warriors.
But there's a
That's what
whole
it
like
looks.
active parry mechanic, at least when you're fighting other people. That's when it gets
Yeah.
like super intense. It seems.
No, I think like campaign-wise, it looks like it's more of a Dynasty Warriors mixed with something new.
I'm okay with that. I like Dynasty Warriors. I played them. I played a bunch of them. They're just stupid fun games. But really, the reason I'm going to play For Honor is the um, like PvP combat. And then we got to see Trials of the Blood Dragon, which I mentioned earlier. Awesome, just crazy, stupid fun. And Grow Up, which they've been advertising for quite a while now, so that was nothing new. Or no, Grow Home was the first one. Grow Up is the second one. I feel like cutesy indie games. That was their niche cutesy indie game. So that was that. And then Watch Dogs 2, which nobody seems to give a rat's ass about.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't. Most of the Ubisoft stuff, just because their stuff never comes out on release like it showed at conferences. So
Yeah. So on and Steep, we should mention Steep because that looks okay. It's a revival of that action sports genre that's kind of disappeared over the
I think
past couple of years.
that was interesting to me, just because we haven't had a good snowboarding game or like that kind of game in a long time. So
Yeah,
if it can pull it off well, then I'm glad
yeah.
because I think it'll do well.
I'm not part of their audience for that game, admittedly, but I'm happy that we're seeing it come back. It looked cool, like it looked pretty good visually, and I can see myself like watching stunts that get posted on Reddit from the game, but I'm probably not going to touch it myself, just because it's not one of those
I
things that
might
interests me.
I might when it's on sale or something.
Mm. And I played the sports games before. I played Tony Hawk and all that fun stuff, but this one not so much. I think I'll pass on this one. So yeah, that brings us to cram games down your throat until you can't breathe anymore, aka the Sony conference.
AKA, this is how every conference should be for the rest of time.
Yeah. Still not the most what was I gonna say? I don't remember. It's gone now. Sorry. Not coming back. Yeah, they started with God of War.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, which is a great way to start. I'm glad that it's not God of War 4 and then it's just God of War. I think it makes sense considering it's taking place in a different area, different time period altogether.
Yeah, no, it's like Norse mythology or whatever it is.
Mm.
I'll be interested to play it. It'll be
Pumped.
fun.
Definitely gonna play that one. And then after God of War, we got Days Gone, which a lot of people thought was The Last of Us initially, and it wasn't. It's something that looks like it wishes it could be The Last of Us.
Yeah,
I'll probably pass on it. Looks
I don't know.
like a generic
See.
zombie game. I'm
See.
kind of done with zombies,
Yeah,
personally.
I think it's definitely starting to run its course for sure.
And then after that, we got Last Guardian, which I know a bunch of people are looking forward to. I had never played Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, so Last
Played a
Guardian
little
doesn't really
bit
do
of
it for me.
Shadow of the Colossus. I remember when that got announced though. I
Mm-hmm.
still had like PlayStation Magazine and stuff, so
Yeah.
that was like back in the day, 10 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, that game's been in development
It'll
for a
be
long time.
interesting. The one game I will bring up that I loved out of the Sony conference was Horizon Zero Dawn.
I
I think that is going to be phenomenal because to me it seems like it's just The Witcher with robots.
okay.
Sense.
Yeah. I'll admit, like when this trailer for Horizon Zero Dawn started, I gave it a lot of shit because I was just like, "What the hell is this? This looks like super Far Cry right now." And then the combat started, and I was just like, "Okay, I'm interested now. Like, please go right ahead."
You know, I think that's going to be a good game. I'm excited for that. There's
I
one. If there's probably that's honestly, I'm probably most excited for that game than um, any other single player game that was showed off at E3
hmm,
because
okay, interesting.
I think it has a lot of potential in terms of
Yeah,
the story and whatnot.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. I'll play it. I wouldn't say it's what I'm looking forward to most. That probably is gonna go to probably Dishonored. I'm a big Dishonored person for best single player or most interesting. But yeah, it looks fun. I was happy to see the combat kick off because at first I was just like, oh god, this weapon wheel just looks just like Far Cry. Oh god, you're gathering stuff just like Far Cry. But it got better. It gets better, and it did get better.
Yeah, no,
I was
I
happy
think
to
it'll
see
be
that.
good.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the story works out because you're fighting robots with a bow. So definitely one to keep your eyes on if you're a PlayStation owner. What else? We had that new David Cage game from Quantic Dream. Is that the studio's name? Quantic Break? Quantic something. Anyway, that Detroit
Um,
Becomes Human one. They're all about heavy mood
I
and
think that's
choice.
just gonna be a funny game.
A funny game.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be taken seriously by anybody, to be honest.
Some people are like diehard David Cage fans. Some people really like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls and all that
They're
stuff.
weird.
Yeah, they typically are. But
But
I saw that and I was just like, okay, not really like my thing again.
yeah, no, not at all. I have zero interest in that.
Then right after that, we got what a lot of people thought was PT, but turned out to be Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, it's weird and different. I know they have the demo up on
Oh,
PS4, I believe.
that was great. Demo available immediately. Didn't go live for like 4 hours after the conference ended.
I didn't even like try to look it up.
I have the demo. I thought about playing it the other day, and I'm just like, I should probably get a camera before I stream the demo. My brother's looking forward to it. I'm curious to see where it goes, and based off what the gameplay footage showed, I'm curious as to why it's called Resident Evil 7 and not just like a reboot of the Resident Evil franchise.
You know, it'll be interesting to see like later on what's in the game to
Mm,
make it Resident Evil.
yeah, I agree. Then we got a nice little like VR montage. I saw the Batman Arkham VR thing, and I was just
That
like,
one I guess
fuck.
is like pretty like there have been people that have been playing it
Mm.
at E3 and they said it's not gimmicky and that it's actually like pretty cool.
Yeah, as
There's a
soon as
little
I
amount they have to
saw
play.
like Batman VR, I was just like, God damn it, I'm gonna have to buy a Morpheus now or a PlayStation VR. 'Cause I need that Batman VR game in
Yeah,
my
I
life.
think it's gonna be awesome.
I absolutely need that. And then we got the Battlefront X-Wing mission. It's a single mission as DLC for Battlefront. You get to fly around an X-Wing in VR. I'm pretty sure somebody's probably already modded that on PC to where that can
Probably.
happen.
It's still kind of cool, I think.
Yeah, cool. Be able to like look around the X or the cockpit of an X-Wing. Could be cool. Probably not something I'd pay for, in all honesty.
No, it's free.
Oh, is it free?
Free to anybody who owns Battlefront.
Oh, yeah, I don't own Battlefront. You have to buy. It's been on sale pretty regularly. Maybe I'll pick it up. We'll see.
I mean, it's usually down to like I have it for um PS PS4 and I think I bought it for like $30. And it's quite regularly. It's down to about $20.
Yeah, it was just on sale on Origin this week for $20, and I thought I would get it, and I was just like, nah. Oh wait. Then after that, we got Call of Duty, which we touched on earlier, which the single
Ooh,
player looks exciting.
I'm,
It'll probably be the first single player campaign that I've played for a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 2.
I
So
think
that's a
it's gonna
thing.
be good. It'll be interesting. I know Kit Harrington who is Jon Snow in Game
Jon
of Thrones
Snow.
for people who live on a different planet, don't like the television.
Some people
I
just don't know actors' names either. Like unless
Fair
it's
enough.
something I'm really into, I rarely know the names of actors and stuff.
Fair enough. But no, even though most people I know that watch Game of Thrones know who the actors are because they're pretty well into it. But
Yeah,
that's a whole different other thing. No,
yeah,
he plays the villain in this, so
that's
I think
pretty
that's
awesome.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see a different side of him.
Hmm.
So
Who does
no,
he play?
I'm the villain in the new Call of Duty.
Oh, okay.
But that I mean, it comes with the Call of Duty 4 remaster, which I'm pretty pumped to play.
Yeah, which
Um,
everybody is still more
hands on.
excited to
That's
play.
I can't wait for that, and I can't wait to go to COD XP and play all that stuff. And it should be fun.
Yeah, and one of the more exciting things for me too is it just like it gives me a reason to be excited for Call of Duty again. Like the campaign between like the grapple and the space combat, and the fact that it's just a different enough setting.
The fact that I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh
Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say it's got my interest, which it hasn't done in a long ass time.
Which is essentially why I'm pretty excited because even everybody, as mentioned earlier, everybody that saw the trailer originally, they had no idea it was a Call of Duty, and that's a
Yeah,
good thing.
yeah, that's a
Like, I
very good
saw
thing.
people on Twitter, like streamers or writers, video game writers, that very rarely compliment games, and they were like, okay, for Call of Duty, and people not knowing it, that's a huge step.
Yeah,
Like, that's a pretty good thing for them.
bunch of people are just like, holy shit, what is this? What is this? This looks awesome. And then they're just like, oh, it was Call of Duty. It's just like, why does it being Call of Duty take away the excitement of what you just saw? Like, you enjoyed what you just saw,
You're
did you
not
not?
allowed to like Call of Duty.
Apparently not. Not anymore.
How it is, fortunately.
Yeah. On to one of my favorite announcements from the PlayStation conference. And that is, we're getting Crash Bandicoot remastered.
I was hoping for Crash 4
All
when they
three of
said
them.
that.
I don't even
But
remember
I'll
Crash
take a
4, to be
remaster.
honest.
No, I'm saying like Crash 4, like new Crash 4.
Oh, yeah.
Crash. I
To
was
be
hoping for
honest, I'm
but
okay
I'm
with
fine.
getting these
I'm perfectly
remastered
fine with
first.
the remaster because I
Yeah.
love those. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be they're gonna see how the remaster does sales wise, and
Mhm.
I think if it does well, then they're gonna make a new one.
Yeah, it's nice that we're getting all three of them too. So you'll be able to play through Crash 1, 2, and Warped.
I
Maybe we'll
honestly
get a
don't.
Crash Team Racing if it does well. Oh, that'd be so great. I'd love a
The
new Crash Team Racing.
the only other time I remember people getting that excited for something like an announcement, or like music playing was probably last year at when they did Final Fantasy 7 slash Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers back to back.
Hmm.
Remember when they first did Kingdom Hearts 3, like people were like going insane about it. It
Yeah.
was like literally nobody expected it.
And
Like
then
there
we saw
was
rides,
nothing.
and I was just like, oof. Yeah, on stream right now, I'm playing the kind of funny reaction that was live during the conference, and one of their guys, Tim Geddes, like lost his shit when they announced Crash Bandicoot. It was great. I was
No,
just like,
everybody was like people just started yelling. It was super loud.
yeah, I don't think I've ever been that excited for a game release as he is for Crash, and that's awesome.
I don't think anybody's ever been excited for anything as much as the lady that was screaming at the top of her lungs
During the
during that
Bethesda
damn
conference.
Bethesda conference, and she would not stop screaming
Yeah.
for every little thing. And if you watch the conference, whoever watched it knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah, I guess Jesse Cox was sitting like right in front of her. And I felt so bad for him, and then at the same time, I was just like, "Can you do us all a favor and knock her the fuck out?"
right?
But yeah, and then, and I would say incredibly unexpected news: Insomniac's making a Spider-Man game.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. As soon as I saw like Spider-Man, I was just like, "Okay, cool, Spider-Man game. We haven't had one of those in a while." And then Insomniac popped up, and I was like, "Oh, and it's gonna be a good Spider-Man game."
I know we haven't had a good one of those in forever. I feel like
Yeah,
back since like the PS2 days, and so I'm really hoping
yeah.
that they do it well.
If there's anybody I trust to make a good game, I'd say Insomniac's probably one of them.
That's true.
Seems like they brought back the whole like PS1 Spider-Man thing where you can just sling a web anywhere. Doesn't necessarily have to be attached to something, which is cool because it gives you that real like Spider-Man feeling, I think at least. And it looked good, so it'll be interesting to see what the game looks like and how it feels when we actually get our hands on it. Probably next year sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one of the more depressing things about E3 is just like we're never going to see any of these games like
It's the thing is
anytime
though,
soon.
a lot. It felt like this year, a lot of the games actually got release dates and stuff. That
Mm.
whether it was
Like South Park,
early, yeah,
December
whether it was
6th.
early, 2017 or late 2016. Felt like a lot more than normal had actual release dates. Pretty sure
Yeah.
like all of them except like 2 or 3 games from the Sony one had release dates.
Mm,
No, um,
I don't remember, but I feel like most of them didn't, with the exception of like Star Wars
I want to say
and Call of Duty. But we already knew Call of Duty, so
Call of
that didn't
Duty we
count.
knew.
Final Fantasy we knew. Resident Evil we don't know. Detroit we don't know.
Resident Evil, I think they said early next year.
That's not a release date. That's a
I
time
can
period.
say, well, that's more than God of War was just in development.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's true. But at the very least, we know we have a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, and that's always good. Reassuring the purchasing of these expensive consoles that, for a large number of people, have just been sitting collecting dust.
Exactly.
And last but not least, that weird ass announcement for what Kojima's working on. Love the guy to death. He made Metal Gear Solid, but I don't know what the hell to make of that trailer.
I'm perfectly fine with that. A good old naked Norman Reedus, just
Yeah.
sitting on a beach with a bunch of dead whales.
Well, first a
Whatever, it
baby
looks
connected to
interesting.
him,
Yeah,
and then
with a baby.
handcuffs. Yeah.
Whatever, man. It's whatever he's got to do. That looks cool.
Yeah, like power to you, Kojima. I know it'll be good at the end of the day, but right now I'm just like scratching my head, going like, "What the fuck?" In a good way, in the best possible way. Don't get me wrong.
I'm excited to see where that goes.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that wraps up Sony.
I think that's the last. That was the last conference. So
Did they have anything else exciting? Oh, no, no, they didn't. There's a demo for Lego Star Wars, but that's coming out in like a week or two.
no
So
Lego games are always
that's
good.
not big news. Yeah, those are fun. I'm looking forward to playing the Lego Force Awakens because I'm a sucker for the Lego games. And then the next day we got not Nintendo's conference, but their Treehouse, which is essentially just like them showing off new Pokemon
Okay,
and
let's show you
Zelda.
Zelda and Pokemon and call it a day.
Yeah, pretty much. It's cool that Pokemon's going full 3D for once. I don't own a 3DS, and I'm not going to buy one to play Pokemon, but it was interesting to see it being played in
I've
3D.
considered buying a 3DS just for Pokemon because they're good mobile games to play, and
Mm.
I find myself in a lot of time like work sometimes where it's like I don't want to use my data to play stuff.
Yeah, or I want to play a real game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've thought about picking one up in the past, but I'm not going to buy one just specifically for Pokemon. I thought it
No.
was cool that the battles are now like Pokemon Stadium-esque, and the way the camera moves and swings around and the attacks are animated. And then the new Zelda game looks good.
Yep.
They haven't showed a ton of it. We got to see a little bit more of the world and a little bit more of how it plays.
I don't
Seems
have a
like you get a
Wii.
magnet.
I probably will never buy a Wii. I don't know.
It's coming to the. I think they confirmed it's coming for the Wii U and the Nintendo NX, whatever that's going to end up being. I don't have a Wii U anymore, so I'm probably not going to buy one just to play Zelda, as much as I love the franchise.
I couldn't tell you the last time I bought a Nintendo console or anything Nintendo.
And 64
Because
probably.
it's like they constantly put out. I mean, they're all good stuff, but it's always the same stuff.
Yeah, it's
All their
always like
first-party characters.
polished quality games, but it's doesn't
Your
come out
Zelda, your
often
Pokemon,
enough.
and your Mario.
Yeah,
That's what you get usually.
And this year you're getting Star Fox, but everybody's kind of skeptical
And
about that.
you'll occasionally get your ported other games that are ported poorly and look
Yeah.
like crap.
For your controller that's not developed for people to use.
Yep.
Yeah, so that wraps up our E3 coverage, if you want to use that term. Pretty much our likes and dislikes from each of the major conferences. There's been stuff that's come out on the show floor, but I'll have to do a larger wrap up for that next week, I think, because there's been a ton of announcements. Or not a ton, but a good amount of announcements that didn't make their ways into conferences about like general stuff. And we didn't talk about the PC show at all, even though there wasn't too much to talk about.
I didn't
really.
watch any of it, and I have no idea what they did, honestly.
Bunch of weird stuff. It wasn't great. And then, since we're done with E3, we're gonna move on to some gaming adjacent news, and that would be the Warcraft movie.
Woo!
Woo, joke and talk again.
So you ended up
Yeah,
seeing it.
yeah, I got it. I got it on the DL
Got it
and
on
that
the download.
Theatre.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, to give you guys a little bit of background, for those of you who don't know, we all played a bunch of World of Warcraft. A
What's World
bunch.
of Warcraft though?
This little game that taken a backseat recently, and
Not for Nick.
well, it's still a backseat game for Nick, I would say.
Yeah.
It's just like back middle, so it's directly in his rearview mirror now instead of like off to the side.
Hmm.
But yeah, the Warcraft movie. It was good if you like Warcraft. I think that's the best review I can give it. At
I
least
know.
that's
I
what I thought.
definitely thought it was good. You know, I I I don't understand why the critics were so hard with the graphics. I think yeah,
I thought it looked good.
there were maybe one or two times where you can tell it was very CG,
Mhm.
pretty poor CG, but it was like little things. It wasn't anything major.
Yeah, I would say that was
Um,
mostly during like large battle scenes too. Like all the close-up stuff looked really good, I thought.
I 100% think that they needed to not cut as much from the movie.
Yeah, there were some
They
hard cuts.
they cut about 40 minutes from the movie, and there were, which I agree with critics, and I think it was probably one of the poorer parts of the movie was just the editing and overall feel of the movie, and
Hmm.
how it was going about was definitely like,
Yeah.
not well edited.
I hope we get a
Stuff's just
director's
kind of
cut.
stuff just kind of jumped around. I really do too, and I think that because it's doing so well, there's a good chance I think we will on Blu-ray. And I think that's definitely going to make it um, seem better in a sense, because
Hmm.
there are some parts where like if you're not like a diehard fan, that can be kind of confusing because stuff was cut out and it's not explained much.
Yeah. What'd you think, Joe?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I guess I could see like if you're not a Warcraft fan. I mean, like there's movies that I've watched about like space and stuff like that. You know, when space movies were real popular, that I'm like, oh, that's awful. You know, and Warcraft wasn't like that. It wasn't awful.
No.
But I could definitely see how if you're not totally into lore or storylines, or you didn't really relate to the movie and you're just kind of watching it, you wouldn't love it.
Hmm.
You know, because it's not like it's not meant for that audience. It's not meant for
Yeah.
everyone. It's
No,
just
definitely
meant,
not. I
and
mean,
I think,
if you like those types of movies, I think you'll like the movie.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it was Mike B who put it what I think is best. Just like if you're a Warcraft fan, this is just about as good of a movie you could have asked for, unless Blizzard did it themselves. And if you're not a Warcraft fan, it's just an okay fantasy movie.
Honestly, one of the coolest things was seeing the Blizzard logo like that up on the big IMAX screen with,
All the characters
I don't know if you
inlaid in
noticed
the
they had like
ice.
Tracer was in the ice, and I forgot
Arthas
who else was in
was, I think Sylvanas was, and then who's the lady from StarCraft?
there. Oh, I can't
Kerrigan.
remember.
Kerrigan, yeah. They had Kerrigan in a Zerg form up in the ice. I don't know how spoilery you guys want to get with this. I can throw up like a spoiler warning on the stream if you guys want to talk about like plot specifics, or if you're okay with
I
just
mean, the
general
only thing
specifics.
is, I definitely think the next movie is going to be about Thrall when they do another one, like for sure.
I
Like they're
I think
going to
that would
set that
fall
up.
under spoiler content.
Does it?
You're giving
I
away
don't know.
like a decent amount of.
Here's my opinion on spoilers for this movie, is that I don't.
It's already happened.
Yeah, that's like it's not the same as like, I don't know.
It's
I
not the
think
same
that
as the
you can be
official
very loose
lore.
with I think that you can be very loose with spoilers when it comes to like this movie
But yeah, if
compared to
people
all
haven't
the other
seen the movie or
movies.
how they wanted to treat it, like they don't know what direction it's going in. Sure, we know
No,
that we're
but so
seeing Thrall's
if I say
father.
Thrall, I
You
don't
can
know.
assume that eventually, but
He comes back too, doesn't he?
it depends on if you're going based off game lore and movie lore. We don't know what they're
Game
gonna
lore.
do.
He
Game
comes back.
lore, he doesn't come back. You go back in time in the game.
Oh,
Draenor is
okay.
technically back in time.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like where you kill Deathwing, he's summoning you through a bunch of shit, right? I'm
Is
talking
that
about.
Duratan?
Yeah, I think so.
To be honest, it's been so long. I'd have to go back and check. I know that you see him in Draenor, just like you
Yeah,
see
because I just did a
Blackhand.
quest with him.
Oh, it's not. It's not Duratan. So leader of the Frostwolves, Duratan. You're right. Okay. Yeah. Frostfire Ridge. Who is it though that is there?
It's just Thrall,
Uh,
isn't it?
is it Thrall?
Because he's like full shaman at that point.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
think it's just
So
him
we didn't see Thrall because
in the movie.
Thrall's. Yeah,
One
Thrall
sec. I'm
is.
gonna throw up the spoiler thing. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see
So
it. But in order
hesitant.
to like avoid pissing anybody off,
Hey.
we're just gonna go ahead and throw this up real quick. So go ahead and mute it until you see this come off. And give me a second to set this up because I didn't have this set up ahead of time. Okay, so the spoiler warning is up. As soon as you see the text come down, you can feel free to unmute the podcast. But yeah, so Thrall is in the movie. We see him a couple times. He's just a baby.
Yeah.
He's that baby that almost dies and then turns green because of the fell poisoning, whatever you want to call it. And then he's the one that gets sent down the river by his mom just before she gets killed. That's Thrall,
Yeah.
who goes rawr right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next movie is most likely going to be about him, his upbringing as a human slave, his imprisonment, his freedom, all that fun
Kind of
stuff.
sounds like Moses, doesn't it?
Him discovering his shamanistic powers.
Kind of sounds like Moses, doesn't it?
Not familiar enough with Moses. But based off what I know, yes, he does get freed from his slavery to lead his people.
With his shaman powers.
Mm. He discovers them during that, according to the book, if I remember correctly, during that fight to escape because of emotion and all that fun stuff. Which they didn't touch on the shamanistic side of the orcs at all in the movie. It was all like, they're just warriors, and Gul'dan's a warlock because he's corrupted.
Maybe it's when they go back to like the naturalness of life. Or maybe they thought that concept was too hard to understand.
I
They
don't
don't
know.
want it to.
It's something that exists in society today. So I don't think it would be too unrealistic for audiences to grasp a hold of that idea.
You think most people know shamans?
They're familiar with the concept at least, or at least being connected with the natural world. I think people can get that. And if not, then the movie can explain it, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought it would be cool to see that, but
Oh, if they do the movie, the next movie on Thrall and his freedom and all that kind of stuff, we'll get to see it to some extent if they follow the official lore. And it's a pretty big part of his character, so I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't at least like touch on it.
yeah. Um,
I don't think we'll see him like go full war chief of the Horde in the next movie, but we'll at least get to see him grow up. And maybe we'll get to see like Ogrim give him the Doomhammer and all that fun stuff.
like who's the girl who's like the queen of the orcs now or whatever? Not the queen, but you know what I mean. War chief.
Right now it's Vol'jin, because we took down Garrosh. Actually, no, is Vol'jin dead? A little rusty on my WoW lore because I haven't played it in forever.
No, in the movie.
In the movie, it's still
Corona.
Gul'dan.
Corona, right?
Gul'dan's still leading the Horde. She's just
Oh,
like
okay.
the champion that killed King Leoric.
And is she in Stormwind as a child? Or something like that? It was like an orc
Let's see,
kid
I've just
running
searching
around
over.
Stormwind.
Yeah, Vol'jin is new, weren't she? Currently in WoW?
Or wait, no, that wouldn't make sense.
No.
Cause yeah, no, that wouldn't make sense.
That is okay. Are we like done with movie spoilers?
I don't know why.
I think we are because we talked about Thrall. We
Probably.
talked about the ending, just so we can talk about in general, and I can have people unmute the podcast.
Mm.
All right, so we are officially done with spoilers. We think we're gonna get into WoW spoilers, but if the game's
Well, I
been
had
out
a
for so
question.
goddamn long, oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna throw it back up real quick. Apologies. What's your question?
So that the main guy that we follow from the Alliance side,
Not the king, but the
not the
other
king,
guy. Yeah.
is like the war chief or whatever of Stormwind, right?
He's
What's
the
his name?
commander of the Alliance forces.
Um,
Lothar?
Lothar.
is that what it is?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And why does he have what the fuck is the name of that sword?
He doesn't have a special weapon.
Oh, okay, because it kind of looked like Frostmourne.
No, I think that was just like a fancy Alliance sword.
Okay.
Frostmourne, I don't know its origins, but I think it's like strictly the Lich King's weapon. I think it's forged for him.
Because it would be, I want to see his. So who is Arthas's father then? Was he even in that whole thing, or was he introduced later on?
Later on,
Okay.
because his last name is Meneville. But
Damn
yeah,
it.
if the movie, I was talking about Nick or this with Nick the one day. I can take the spoiler thing off now. But if they continue to make the movies, I really hope we get an Arthas movie,
Yeah,
like
that'd be
his
sick.
corruption, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
Frostmourne,
mean, I've walked through the Undercity opening so many times just to
yeah.
like look at that shit.
To see him like get turned from this awesome paladin to the Lich King, I think it would be an awesome event. But going back to the current movie, it's nice that there are familiar faces for people and there are nods for fans of the game. Everything from the Murloc to being like when King, I just forgot his name.
Ilden.
No, it's the king's name in the movie.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
I
I
don't know.
completely forgot.
King Lane? That doesn't sound right. Oh, no, it was King Lane. Okay, so when King Lane is leaving Stormwind, I won't say why, he says goodbye to Varian, and people who play the game and follow the WoW lore know that Varian's the current King of Stormwind, the dark-haired guy with the scar across his face. That was cool. So she's like, I know who that is, and he also has an interesting story. So it'll be curious to see if we get his backstory at some point. And he also goes on to become Anduin's father, which even if you're a Hearthstone person, you know who Anduin is. He's the priest portrait in Hearthstone.
Yep.
So yeah, it was good. It was awesome to see the Dark Portal and like 3D on such a massive scale.
Yeah, just the opening of that movie just looked so awesome.
One of the things I didn't like is how they handled Garona, I guess. Just the fact that she was. I understand she's a half orc or a half breed, but the fact that she was a human with like
Yeah,
paint, it
that
would have
was
been nice to
weird.
see CG at least. Make her a little bit more orcish instead of that. It was just. It felt like it
Like
broke
an
the
orc
immersion.
guard.
Yeah.
Like they have those skinny orc guards,
Mm.
you know, for
Uh,
one of them.
every time she popped up on screen, I was just like, well, there goes my immersion because there's this green
Yeah.
painted person. But yeah, I've seen it once. I was thinking about seeing it a second time. That's how much I enjoyed it as a person who enjoys the Warcraft lore.
I know
I
I'm definitely thinking about going again at some point.
I had
Maybe when
plans to go a second time, and that while I was thinking about making plans to go, I texted Mark and I was just like, "Hey, we need to go see this." And then the next day he texted me, he's like, "We're going at this time," and I was just like, "I can't make it then." Like, cool, but that's life. The other thing that bothered me a little bit was Khadgar. The guy that played him, I was just like, I get this is a super young Khadgar, and it's so different than the Khadgar that I recognize, but he's not exactly like the heroic, like silver-haired badass we know him to be. And I think that's just in large part because he's growing into his character.
Yeah, before they were flying to see that one guy in that castle.
Medivh.
Yeah. I was just trying to be uh yeah.
I think they've said he's in the film, so I don't think that's like spoilery.
Yeah. But I thought they were
Terrorism,
going to the Mage Tower and I was like,
like the Mage
God,
Tower and Stormwind.
yeah, I was like,
Oh,
fuck, that took a long time.
yeah.
But no, they're going to
all the way out
What?
to Karazhan,
Yeah.
which was cool to see. It looks nothing like the raid instance that I remember, but it was cool. The outside looks similar, but the inside, I was just like, yeah. Other than there being bookshelves everywhere, that's where like the similarities end, as far as I could remember. It's cool that we got to see the destruction of the forest outside of Karazhan,
You know, that was
and like
definitely
how it
cool.
came to be. That's as much of that as I'll go into.
I think they downplayed um, Medivh near the end. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that to me is a huge part of Warcraft lore that I loved.
Mm-hmm.
At least if I'm thinking about it the way that it was,
Mm-hmm.
if that's what it was, if that's what I saw, because I don't know if it's true.
My biggest reason I can think of for that is that it was for the sake of brevity. Yeah, they had a
Yeah.
lot to cram into that first movie between all the characters they had to introduce you to and the plot lines they wanted to establish and cover and even close. That they were just like, "This is all the time we had for you, Medivh. Sorry." And there's,
He was like
yeah,
my. I think he was like my one of my favorites.
yeah, he's cool. He's one of those guys in the game where it's just like, okay, this guy's like a badass. But yeah, the Warcraft movie. I'm looking forward to the second one. Hopefully they make a second one. Hopefully China helps out box office performance enough for a second one to be made. Definitely gonna be brushing up on my WoW lore. It's just inspired me to get back into it
Yeah, totally.
because I'm a nerd like that. Get on my level. You guys have any other thoughts on the WoW movie or the Warcraft movie?
I
Not
got
the WoW
nothing.
movie.
It was a good time.
Yeah, good time.
We never really learned where the felt came from.
It's hinted
Yeah.
with everything that happens, and that's speculation that could get into spoiler territory. So we can have that discussion if you want to. Further spoilers, potentially. But if you want to save that for like private conversation, we can do that too.
Either way. I mean,
Yeah, I think we'll go ahead and call it there, and then we can talk about it a little bit later, if you'd like to. Are there any other gaming topics you guys saw that you would like to discuss
Not that I can think of.
before we move on to the second half of the podcast? The second portion of the podcast.
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah, we covered the Warcraft movie. We covered the E3 stuff that is on everybody's mind. Covered the Overwatch patch notes, essentially. Yeah, I think that just about does it for gaming. So that brings us to the second portion of the podcast that you've come to know and love as the design, content creation, and self branding portion of the podcast. And Joe, you've been busy plugging away at the site and possibly other design type things. How's that been going?
yeah, it's been going good. It took it took 1 day to rebuild the website, which I mean, we didn't have a lot of content like it's not like we were up for a year or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
it's I think the new site will work better for what we're trying to do as far as communicating value.
Okay.
And I think what I'm learning is I'm one of those people that and I always build out like different types of programs, and not in the sense that they're actual coded programs, but they're like more habitual things, so like an outline of what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been super busy, just in general, with the work and everything, and then doing this stuff, and it's just like I've had to learn even more how to build in kind of time through. I don't even know. I was thinking of the word earlier, but I can't think of it now. Just like uh, just different methodologies to kind of plan out what I'm gonna do, and then follow through on it. Throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Different ways to organize myself and kind of keep track of everything I need to do because usually a lot. So like
Yeah.
back to, like the notepad stuff and things like that. It's like taking it to web applications, and I use one for work. I use one for, another thing at work where I'm building projects out, and
Mm.
so it's just over communicating for me helps me remember. So
Yeah.
creating simple ways to interact becomes easier.
Yeah.
So I think that's what a lot of what I'm trying to focus on.
I'm one of those people that never thought I'd use a calendar, or
Yeah.
but it's amazing to me how much I rely on like Google Calendar now to help me keep track of everything from like concerts to appointments to reminders for taking my laundry out when it's done. It's just everything of the gambit. Just those organizational tools just help me stay focused.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially in, high pressure or high production environment,
Mm.
you need to be, able to manage multiple things while people are talking to you, while answering questions, while helping your team. So, a lot of that is kind of a process, but
Yeah.
that's a lot of the things I practice.
I picked up a new practice
Yeah.
Tuesday. So I mentioned before that I have a video coming out for an indie game that I got asked to make a video on of an early access build, and went to go record the footage Tuesday. Everything was going pretty well. Played the game, was working just fine. Didn't have a crash or anything on me. Got like 45 minutes worth of footage, and then I go to like play the footage back, and there's no game audio, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, you got to be kidding me. So I go to Shadow Play to like check everything, and it turns out I had Shadow Play configured to just record B-roll for the last thing that we had recorded. So it wasn't set up to record game audio, and I was like, son of a bitch. I didn't test it beforehand. I didn't like record a small segment to make sure it was working before I started. I just went right into recording. So I lost like an hour's worth of time, if not more than that, of like strictly recording and then viewing and starting to edit footage because I forgot to make sure that I was recording game audio before I started.
Yeah. I mean, I've done that a trillion times.
So yeah, add
Like
that
I'm
to the
super
list.
paranoid about that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's something that has to do with losing some kind of content because you didn't take the preemptive steps to make sure that it was solid on the output, I've done it, like I've wasted countless hours rendering something. I've not clipped my thing so that there's 3 hours of blackness after a video, and then like, why did it take so,
Yeah.
And then there's just like things like that where it's just like shit.
Yeah.
But I get that's the experience.
Yep.
And I'll
Definitely
still
audit
do it. I could
experience.
probably do it tomorrow. I'd forget to turn the microphone on.
I did it with Discord today. Nick joined and somebody else joined earlier, and I was just like, why didn't I hear anything? Like, I'm not in streamer mode. What the fuck? Everything seems to be working okay. Opened up my volume mixer, and I had Discord muted. So that would be why
That's
I didn't
funny.
hear anything. So yeah, been a I think
Classic.
great week for content production. I cranked out a stream highlight the other day in lieu of that video because it was content I was planning on posting, and I have to go back and redo now. Set aside time for again because I fucked up the first time. So there's a stream highlight up on the channel. It's more Trials of the Blood Dragon, or some Trials of the Blood Dragon, not more of it. It's the
Some
first.
Trials of the Blood Dragon.
Yeah, I can't say more because it's the first Trials of the Blood Dragon video on the channel. Probably a bit more to come. That game's fun. I'll probably stream more of it and then rip it and post it. Any big design news this week that you saw?
Um, let's come back to that.
Okay. I've got one that I can talk about a little bit because I was looking at headlines before we started, and one of the headlines that I saw was just that minimalism was making a trend for icons and design in general for this past year. And it's funny because we talked about that 2 weeks ago when we were talking about self-branding and all that kind of fun stuff. Just keep it simple, keep it clean. So if you didn't believe us then, there are serious design sites posting about that kind of stuff now. We weren't kidding.
Yeah.
It's a trend
No.
that's never going anywhere.
Yeah. No. I mean, that's minimalism. It's been the thing, and I think it fits better into like mobile responsive design, tablet design, because you can't have so much junk.
Mm. Because you're working
Um,
with limited resources for
yeah.
mobile.
Um, there is there's a new app building software called Firebase, and it's not too new, but it's for business services for app development and web development stuff like that. And I think Google has a hand in it. I'm not sure how much,
Hmm.
but another thing that I noticed, and I'm not sure how new it is or old it is Google has a domain hosting
Yeah,
service.
I saw that it's still fairly limited as to what domains you can register.
Yeah,
They're only, I forget what levels they are. What do they call them for domains? Like types or something? Certain
TLD. Or,
classes. Yeah. There's only certain tiers that it supports right now, and it's some of the more simplistic ones. You don't have like the .ggs and the you know, country
yeah,
codes you have on some of the other hosting sites, but it's cool. Just
they have like zone, training, network, tools, MBA, legal, life, lightning,
yeah, definitely
lighting. Sorry.
a bigger push for Google to try to get out there and own the internet. Air quotes there. Definitely by no means mean that seriously.
Yeah. No, I mean, and the nice part about it is you get Gmail
Gmail's
as
good.
your provider, which is
Yeah.
pretty sick. So, I mean, you can use Gmail, and there's also so this links into another thing that I saw is there's this development app that lets you let's see. It lets you automate Gmail messages. So basically what it is it's called Connector by contentmarketer.io. So what it does is it lets you go through an emails with a template and then fill in different templates. Um, it allows you to import recipients. So you basically create a database of users that you're emailing so that you can manage that. You can import it in a CSV file. So I'm assuming you can just use Excel. Maybe not. Don't know. I haven't used it yet. Um,
Fair enough.
analytics. Analytics? Yeah, there's included analytics, so you can kind of see your opens, sent, clicks, and that's kind of important to create your smaller metrics like your click to open ratio, where you kind of find out if your content's reaching, or you can, use your analytics to kind of gauge your message to see what you're doing. And it's kind of like an option that's alternative to constant contact.
Hmm.
So it's pretty cool. And so if you go to Gmail, you get your domain, and then you have your custom domain through Gmail, which I think is awesome because I've had Gmail through school and stuff like that, and I
Yeah.
personally use it, obviously. Um, but I think it's awesome, and I think the fact that you can use like plugins like that that cost you, this costs you like, let's see, pricing. It's $9 a month for a connector. So for $9 a month, you can have an emailing service that allows you to connect with up to 500 recipients a campaign, which is basically like if you have a very segmented, what you should have a segmented list. So say you have 1,500 clients in your distribution list, you can segment three different clients and send them three different, messages. Um, and that's kind of what you should be doing. But for $9 plus your domain that you're already paying for, you can have this, which is epic. Because if you
Yeah.
pay for things like Constant Contact, Mailchimp, Sales Fusion, a lot of those things that they're more expensive, they're more robust, they're a lot harder to understand. You have to know
Hmm.
how to use HTML to get your brand out there. I mean, they have a lot of like templates and things like that where you can go in and drag and drop, but they're never going to be branded in the way that a professional brand would be.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a small business and you can't afford to pay for somebody to do it for you, or you don't know somebody, or you don't have an employee that can do it, I would say this is probably your best bet because you're sending it from your domain, but you're also using templates so it's faster.
Yeah.
But you're using Gmail.
Yeah. Helps you
So
hit the ground running.
yeah. And I think the analytics is that surprised me that you can actually get analytics because I think that's really cool. But I'm assuming it plugs in through
Yeah.
Gmail
Yeah.
or through Google.
If you're not using analytics, even Google Analytics, you're doing it wrong. Just helps you focus your research and your marketing to help you get your message out there more effectively. That's all.
For sure.
I got my AdSense set up this past week on YouTube finally,
Yeah.
with analytics enabled and all that fun stuff. So it took
Yeah,
me
I
way
mean,
too long to do, but it's done.
that's one of the things that is nice about the new site is the videos, and that's the one of the problems I had with the old site is the scripting for the video player sucked, and it gave you like this half-loaded thumbnail preview with this weird overlay. And now the videos play in your browser in an iframe.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's completely responsive video, which is like it's surprising that you'd ever be able to not have that now,
Mm.
but apparently it's a thing in some circles to
Yeah. I imagine
have
it's like a
that.
bandwidth thing and a data thing for some hosting platforms. Just like because videos are big. Anybody who's worked with video, watched a video, downloaded the video can tell you they're not the tiniest things to deal with. So my best guess is that it's just the size that goes into streaming them or hosting them, all that kind of fun stuff.
No, but I mean, no, usually you host it from YouTube and then you'd embed it on your site. But I'm saying like m most websites, well, most performing business platforms and consumer platforms have built-in coding that allows your video to be responsive when you go from web to mobile or to tablet to mobile.
Mm.
Um, already integrated in. It's just part of the CSS that sets it at the automatic measurements, so that it spans across the measurement of the screen. So
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't affect really like your database. It would just affect the way that um, the user perceives it. So like if you have an embedded video that is not responsive,
Mm.
when you're on mobile, it'll be like one of those things where you're clicking half the thumbnail to play it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so
That's
it'll look
always annoying.
just
Yeah.
ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it's mobile responsive, it'll be in that like 270 pixel range
Mm.
where it just fits just nicely with some padding into your mobile
Yeah, it scales
screen.
properly and all that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like as a person with undiagnosed and unofficial OCD, that's one of the things that always bothers me like right away. As soon as your stuff like breaks the boundary of my phone screen, I'm just like, well, you didn't care enough about this. Like, why is this so garbage in this day and age?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I love Bootstrap is it makes that so easy. Like when I'm writing HTML, I use Bootstrap. But um,
Mm.
that if you don't know any HTML right now and you want to learn a kind of platform or syntax or whatever you want to call it, language, go look at Bootstrap. It's friggin' marvelous. You can just use CSS pretty much if you want to design your whole site. So,
Nice.
yeah.
My brother's been dabbling in HTML as someone
Yeah.
who's trying to decide like what languages he's interested in.
Yeah, I need to learn more server languages. That's where I need to round out because I'm doing a lot of JavaScript, HTML, CSS all the time now.
Mm.
So like what I need to learn on the side for myself is like Apache and Python and all that fun stuff.
How those fun
Need to get better
languages.
at PHP too. But there's just
PHP's going
like,
away.
yeah, I mean, well, it's used for WordPress,
Mm.
so
Yeah. No, I've dabbled in it before. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon, but eventually I don't think PHP is going to be used as much.
yeah, I mean, eventually I don't think you'll ever use, I mean, you'll use code to make a website, but I feel like, it just,
Mm.
the more uh, the end user is like a direct consumer of products in general,
Yeah.
then the more the framework for web is going to fit that. It's going to
Yeah.
be easier and easier to make websites.
Mm. I could see it one of these days being one of those things where kind of like the first language that a lot of people learn now is Visual Basic. And the way that works, it's just like your pseudo is more similar to natural English, and then it gets translated into C++ for lack of a better term. And I could see that being something that happens one day where there's a new language or even a form of HTML that gets developed that's more natural for people to use and learn and develop with, and then it just gets translated into something else.
Yeah.
So that if you need to know that other translated language, you'll be like a high end user kind of thing, and then it'll be just more accessible through that default basic language.
Yeah, and it might just end up being that there's like an engine that comes out that's really good too.
Mm.
You know, that the syntax is like make this image this,
Yeah,
boom, and then you just put it through the engine and it comes out, you know,
yeah, that kind of
styled
stuff.
and responsive.
I couldn't imagine transcribing those kind of instructions though, or coming up with something that has to translate make into hundreds of lines of code.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what CSS though
Mm.
is. In certain senses, you create classes and things that dictate how things respond, you know? So you
Yeah,
have like your normal columns, but then in your columns you can put padding and margins and you
mm.
can stretch things and set the width. And so like you do all that. So I mean, I could easily see how now with CSS you can create sliders and things that will manipulate that content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can be like, oh, okay, 100% width to 25%, you know, so it's like boom, oh, well,
And it just takes care of it for you.
yeah. So you have the pre-established framework where you're picking that template that's already built through Bootstrap or something like that, and then you adjust the CSS with your slider, which is a more, uh, you know, user-friendly UI for these kind of front-end developments. And then it's like Squarespace
Okay.
or Wix or anything you'd use like that. That's pretty much where web is going for people that aren't really doing heavy e-commerce or
Yeah.
heavy traffic.
Yeah, which is a problem that we might run into later on. I imagine if Rooster Teeth were to start today, they wouldn't have built the site from the ground up. They'd probably use something like Wix or WordPress or Squarespace to
Yeah.
start their site, and then they'd transition to what they have now, where they run their own site and have built it from the ground up specifically for their needs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's a lot of development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do not envy them in that
A
regard.
lot of that is we'd probably need some actual architects to like build applications that would work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because usually you'd pick like what is the open source e-commerce platform right now? It's I keep saying Mongoose because that's the old like code type that we used for like GM language. It's not Mongoose though. It's man e-commerce.
11 open source e-commerce platforms.
Something like
Magento.
Magento. There we go. Magento. So you take something like Magento, which is like the open source platform,
Mm.
and then you'd create applications within it, so your own plugins and things like that. So that's what the value of having somebody who can actually create software, would do.
Yeah.
Is like I can make the infrastructure of the website and I can establish it and run it so that it gets people there, so that it works well, so that it's functioning.
Mm.
But when those people come in, they make things like that much better. Like, what's the best part of Amazon? It's like, theoretically, one of the best parts is that it kind of knows the way you shop, right?
Yeah.
So
Learned.
things like that, that's like those neural, what is the, wow, I'm so bad right now. But like a neural net, it's like an adaptive computing
Yeah.
that allows the computer to kind of accumulate data and then establish,
Trends.
yeah, trends.
Yeah, it's cool. Some people are scared of it. I'm excited for these kind of trends. I like
Yeah, I
it.
mean, I don't mind like my shopping habits being tracked.
No.
That's fine. I mean, just don't watch me in my house.
Yeah.
That's all. Like you could track me all the time on the internet because usually it gets me to where I want. I mean, I know I have enough resources to block ads on most pages, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's something I want to read, I'll pay the $3 subscription fee for the month,
Yeah.
you know. Like I think there's a bunch of sites that are doing that now. I know that Forbes was one of the first ones. I'm not sure
I
if
think even
Wired,
like the Buffalo News is doing it now.
yeah. So there you go.
Like you viewed so many of your free articles as a free user.
Now, Forbes just started blocking people that use AdBlock,
Yeah.
and I think that that's not the best way to go about it. I think if they just made less intrusive ads, then people would stop using ad block.
Well, you could pay as well.
I'm not. No.
I don't mind that. I mean, if
I think they.
versus
I think they're trying to
adversely affects their
solve the
content.
problem with making another problem. I think if they
Yeah,
just
I
fix
mean,
the ads, then
the
people.
problem's for themselves, though.
Yeah.
Like if people stop fucking reading Forbes because they decide that they're gonna not let people enter their site unless they turn off their ad blocker, then fuck Forbes. Like.
Yeah.
But I think most people who read Forbes
Don't have an ad blocker.
don't have an ad blocker.
Yeah.
I would say that like 65% of people who use the internet aren't using ad blockers
Yeah.
willingly. If they're at work, they might have something integrated in their firewall or something. But
I used to have one, but most of the content that I consume on the internet is either through YouTube or Twitch. So now I just have YouTube Red. Don't get any ads on YouTube anymore. It's awesome. And on Twitch, there's Twitch Turbo, where even if you're subbed to a channel, they can disable ads on that channel. So there's no reason for me to have like an ad blocker anymore. Like Rooster Teeth, I'm a sponsor on Rooster Teeth. I don't see ads on any of their stuff. They do their own banner ads. It's not intrusive at all. So
yeah,
I don't have the need for one anymore because I pay to make those ads go away on most of the platforms that I use anyway.
yeah. I think the next point though, it's like it shouldn't come to that.
No.
It
No.
should be a subscription service where it's like, okay, I'm investing my time here, so I'm gonna put some money where my mouth is, and it's not even that much money. It's like, okay, maybe I don't get a bag of chips tomorrow
Yeah.
if I really need that $5, because that's like the most expensive one I've heard. And it's not that it's saying that it's overpriced, just that is like literally the
I just think that
$5 is
it's a
cheap.
bigger issue than just that.
Yeah.
at the
From what I
moment.
remember, that whole sponsorship option was missing from that content gate page on Forbes. It could be up now, but what I remember it's just like, oh hey, you need to turn your ad block off. Is there
Yeah, it
anything you
might
need to
just be
decide?
that, and I'm just
So
relating other
I didn't
sites.
even know that they had a sub on Forbes myself. So if they added that, oh hey, we see you don't like ads. Well, if you pay X amount of money per month, then the ads will go away. So even putting an ad for their ad-free service on their site, as dumb as that sounds, I think that would help clarify the problem a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I forget what it's. Maybe it's not Wired, but it's something else that has something similar where it's like $1
Probably
a
like the New
month.
York Times. I imagine it's becoming like a popular trend amongst print media online platforms.
I'm like going through now and trying to get a pop up. Um, yeah.
And thank God that trend went away. Or
What's
maybe I
that?
just don't go to as many sketchy sites anymore. Pop up windows.
Oh, yeah. Well, pop-ups aren't, but like ads are still
Yeah, ads are a
like
thing.
little
That's okay.
banners that pop up
I think
on
their pop
sites.
ups have been replaced by those banners that pop up and like darken the screen and you have to close out. I think that's what maybe killed the pop up window.
Full screen ads.
Yeah. I love when those are broken on mobile so you can't close them. That's great. I can't close your ad because it doesn't scale or scroll properly. That's always fun. Just renders your entire site inaccessible.
So I'm looking at a Wired site and they have an article said the end of code. I wonder if that subscription's coming. Oh, I get this. With your subscription, you'll receive digital edition to this. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm subscribing, Wired.
All right. I think with that rambly section about code and coding and ads, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode 3 of the Left Click Culture podcast.
Easy for you to say.
Always. Words are always easy. As always, I've been Chris. You are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter at Chris Butler, capital I, capital I. Well, you'll find nonsensical ramblings about all things gaming and internet related and lots of stream announcements because I stream live on Twitch Monday through Wednesday and Fridays from 8 Eastern until about midnight, 1 o'clock. And then on the weekends, I do like random streams. I don't schedule them because I like my sleep. And I know you guys like to have your weekends free. So if you're curious about when I stream on the weekends, I post it in the channel feed and on my Twitter. So keep an eye on those.
Hey, My name's been Joe, and I still don't understand why we say that on things because I heard it the other day. But it sure.
It's a good question.
I'm still Joe, and I've been Joe,
I will continue to
and
be.
I will continue to be Joe. And you can follow me on Twitter at Joe Alongi FX. You can also keep in tune with the Left Click Culture website updates and development updates at Left Clicked. And yeah, so stay in tune. We're gonna be having our new site coming shortly. So yeah, it was pretty quick to launch a new site, but we did it because yeah, we're that cool.
Because
Thanks for
Joe
watching.
is a workhorse.
Yeah, something like that.
I've been Nick. You can follow me on Twitter at dillpickles, DILPIICKLES.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. For whatever reason, in case you missed the past two podcasts, they're both live on YouTube now with all their glorious graphic designed images and outsets. So go watch those. Missed any part of this one, you'll be able to watch this one soon, I imagine. And getting better at the turnaround. Thanks so
Yes.
much for tuning in, and we will see you live next week. Whenever we go live, eventually we'll figure out a scheduled time for this.
He should be here around 8 o'clock.
Around, yeah,
Around 8 o'clock.
8:30, maybe 9 if we're feeling a little tired that day.
Think of it
But
as your part-time job. Just come in, hang out a little bit,
yeah,
get paid with value.
like Joe said, we'll tweet it out across all the social medias. I'll try to retweet it from the Left Click account, and we'll see you then. Have a great week, everybody.